Hello and welcome to another Dean Wright show. And I hope you all enjoyed the video last week. I got some great response from the other platforms that I'm on. Made a lot more subscribers, got a lot more views. And so all in all, it's been very, very productive. And it's nice to see on the other platforms that people are appreciating what I do and subscribing to want to know what I'm doing. I want to see more of what I'm doing, which is very encouraging because according to YouTube, I'm not doing anything that anybody wants to see. Like I said last week, I won't go on about it anymore, but the proof is in the pudding. So without further ado, we're going to move on to this guy here, George Carlin, a great American comedian, has had a very long and distinguished career in film and television and especially radio. He died. I'm not too sure how long ago he died, but this guy was switched on. This guy knew about the powers that be. If he was alive today and what is happening today, the fraudulent activities of the New World Order and so on and so forth, he would be making comments. This guy, if he was putting speeches out today, would have been banned by YouTube, would have been banned by Twitter and Facebook and all the other corporate media outlets. This guy wouldn't have a voice. So this is one of my favorite speeches. And this particular end piece here is very prevalent to what the situation in the world is today and who is really behind what's going on at the moment. So I just want you to have a listen to the last 10 minutes of this fantastic commentator on life. So let's have a listen.
Owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. By the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hardworking people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hardworking people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Never a truer word spoken. This guy was on the money. And it's just a pity that we don't have a leading voice like somebody like him today to be the forefront of the truth movement. And it's a shame. But at least we've got his videos, and at least I can show you some of the work that he's done. But as you can see, Dan, go to George Carlin, have a listen to what this guy has been talking about for years and years and years. And like I said, these voices are becoming less and less and less as the media corporations become more controlled by fewer people, which gives them more control. There's no dissenting voices in mainstream media anymore. Nobody gets a platform anymore. And if you do speak out, you get shadow banned. So anyway, I just thought I'd just show you that. Well, what I want to move on to this week is we're going to first look at a video by Crow 777. And this is Scientists Capture Firmament on Video. Sorry, this is the Founded Earth Brothers. Okay? And then after that, we're going to move on to Crow 777. And then we're going to have another look at Robert Bassano. And then we're going to have a look at the some actual space shuttle footage from STS-75. So without further ado, let's crack on. Enjoy this.
Other than the Bible and us being Bible thumpers, crazy religious people, and you're asking some really good questions. And you're about to see why people like me and thousands and thousands of other people are believing that the earth is not what we've been told, and that the powers that run this world, the powers of darkness that have ran it for centuries, would actually hide the truth in a seemingly innocent way. And no, not every scientist is in on it. It's not like that.
See that there, guys? See that there? See that cable that the harness is wearing?
Not at all.
See it?
But yes, there are some things hidden from you about creation and who you are, and it's for a reason, and it serves a purpose and a large plan. And the shape of our earth and how it moves, as I've said many times, is not the most important truth. But this awakening experience has been leading people in that direction.
Now, just to explain what's happening here with this guy, he's wearing lenses over his eyes. It's called augmented reality lenses. So as far as he can see, that hat has been passed to him, or there's something is in his augmented reality. So he's picking it up and moving it over, but it's not showing on this screen, on what we're looking at. So they're wearing augmented reality lenses.
Hopefully it'll do the same for those of you who always have had this feeling that deep down something is off, and that you aren't who you were told you are.
Look at this door. See that door flapping? That's supposed to be in a 10 to the minus 17 tall vacuum. Yeah? And we've got a flappy door on the ISS.
Neither is this earth. So pay attention. Do not believe anything I say or that anyone says without proving it for yourself. That's all we're saying. Be skeptical. No more blind faith that we've all had for many years. Prove all things. So let's first answer the question, what is...
And that there is the glitch. That is the CGI glitch. These coming out, they are not really there on the ISS. They're superimposed into the space of the ISS. And these are the glitches that people have picked up on the NASA feeds.
This firmament that I'm speaking of, and what proofs do I have? And the first thing that you need to know about the firmament is that it's been mentioned in the creation story as the expanse that divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And I had read that many times, never understood what it meant or that there was any proof of it, and just kind of pictured that being maybe where clouds were kept in deep space. And that is partly true. There is different levels to the firmaments, but the firmament was also mentioned during the Great Flood, when the floodgates were opened and water came pouring down onto Earth. That did happen. Earth was flooded, and for a good reason. And that's an important long story. And the world much started over from that point. And a lot of people thought, well, that's when the firmament went away, was the floodgates were opened, and all of that happened. However, that's not what happened, and there is proof, and we're going to first look at the proof of these rockets that we have all watched go up into the air and seemingly appear to go straight back down to Earth in a rainbow flight path. And people say it is perspective. But luckily, we have pictures of these flight paths from the side view. And you can see that unless the Earth is really tiny, these aren't flying with the curvature of the Earth. They are flying out into the ocean, or as some have joked about, the Bermuda Triangle, where all the witnesses vanish. And you'll see here that we do understand how orbital mechanics work. That you're supposed to go 10 times faster than a bullet to get into orbit, even though we have never seen combustion that happens that fast, because it could wipe out all mankind. But here's a rocket that did not follow that flight path. Many of you have seen this rocket footage floating around or flying around. And this rocket footage is from the Go Fast rocket launch, if you've never seen it. It's record-breaking. You've never seen a rocket go this fast, or this high, or this straight up. Usually they curve downward, as you just saw in the video, but this one did not. And it's made a lot of people open their mind to the fact that maybe that's why our pictures of Earth are composites. Maybe that's why they invented the story about the Van Allen belts, and why we can't go to deep space anymore and send people that far. But this rocket made it 73 miles high, and then it came to an instant stop like you're about to see. So watch and listen. Wow, here it is again. Like I said before, draw your own conclusions. It could have ran into gravity, but check out the side view. Luckily, they had a camera facing sideways, and you can see the horizon when it comes to a stop. You could also see what looks like the moon in the far off distance as this thing is spinning, and that horizon looks very flat. Okay, draw your own conclusions about that. Could have been the fisheye lens. However, I saw another rocket launch. This time it was at night. And people ask, why did that rocket not explode if it was moving that fast? That's a great question, a legitimate question. I'm not going to avoid that question because I think there were some miraculous circumstances and some properties about the firmament that we did not understand. People say, well, it's a solid glass dome. Well, that could probably be partly true. However, this dome, this solid expanse, like a molten looking glass, they call it in the Bible, is impenetrable. We've tried to blow it up before during Operation Fishbowl. I won't go too much into that aspect of it and the history of it. I trust that you'll look into it after you see what you're about to see later on. But this rocket at night was traveling and doing some weird things like we've seen rockets do before at night. And it's very mysterious. And there's really no explaining exactly what we're seeing. But we do know that this thing is doing something weird. And I was looking at it and watching it and going, well, that looks like it hit the firmament. And then, to my surprise, I've seen some ripples, and you're about to see them, move across what appears to be the firmament. And there they go. The ripples look just like ripples you've seen on water. But this is really, really far away. These are giant ripples moving outward. I thought that was spectacular. I had never seen anything like that. And those are my first clues that these rockets might have been hitting something. And this might be partly why they are lying about deep space and sending us all sorts of animations. Then I came across these sprites, which is a phenomenon known as upper atmospheric lightning. And people don't know about this. Your common person does not know about these things. And they occur way above clouds. Clouds are around 3.5 miles high. Sprites occur about 65, 70 miles high, where those rockets were coming to a stop. And these scientists, they show a documentary. This was by Nova. It was on PBS. And didn't really think much about it when I first saw it. until I started putting the pieces together. And then I saw something, a barrier, light up above the sprite. And I thought, what if this is the firmament? And I analyzed this footage. I would slow this footage down. I would change the brightness, and sure enough, I started seeing what I thought I was seeing, the firmament. Put there by our Father in the story of creation. It's been there all along, and it's so sad that we've missed it and missed out on seeing His glory for our whole lives. But there it is, and you're about to see a wave move across it, kind of like the ripple you saw with the rocket. There's that wave. It's bright shooting out of it. And yes, that's a wave. It's not a cloud that you're seeing light up. Again, this is many miles above the clouds. You are seeing the firmament. And this footage was taken down in another video that I put out and blocked in the United States. And for good reason. Because it's waking many people up. They are seeing this solid proof that there's a barrier that these things are shooting out of, these sprites that were mentioned in the book of Enoch. When it talked about stars rising up and becoming lightning and not losing their form, I thought that was crazy. That book was removed from the Bible, and it explained exactly how our system works, the math behind it and everything. But there's the firmament. You can see it. Again, draw your own conclusions. The fact that it's right where those rockets were stopping is no coincidence. Don't take my word for it. Keep looking into it. But I'm going to show you some more proof that the sun, moon, and stars are not light years apart, like we've been told. The nearest star, if it's as far away as they say it is, we would be able to observe that in one night while looking at star trails. However, that's not what we see. We do not see the types of parallax that we can prove that we would see. And I know people say, well, it's a different type of parallax because you're only seeing the stars from a spinning Earth. Well, there's experiments you can do with a camera that you spin as if it were Earth with lights placed at various distances. And when you use the scale that the heliocentric model gives us, it's really hard to do on Earth because it's so far away. But this man here from Cody's lab, his name's Cody, he hates us, but I'm going to use his work. And he shows you if that's the moon and the Earth right there. They're really close together. They're really tiny dots. Here's the sun. And no, that's not how close we are to the sun. He's just showing you size-wise. They're a couple feet apart. And he spaces them apart. But the moon and the Earth and the sun at the end of his measuring tape. And he lays them out. He's laying out some of the planets, Jupiter and Pluto and all of that. There's Pluto. So he's laying these out on a football field. And then he goes to show us where the nearest star would be. And his journey takes him really far. Not just across town. He actually has to leave the state. He drives over 120 miles away, using the scale with those tiny little dots that you saw to show us where the nearest star is. That blew a lot of people's minds and really kind of furthers that fantasy of deep space. However, I saw time lapses of the star trails, and I've seen them moving with the moon. And as I saw them, I noticed they were all moving at the same speed as if they were the same distance away from the Earth. And thought, shouldn't be seeing that. Or should I? I don't really know. Let me do some tests to prove all things. And then I saw the sun and the moon moving through the sky in a time lapse. And they were moving at the same speed and making light trails that were the same size. And I thought, well, if I can set up an experiment that will prove to me that a spinning camera would do this with lights at various distances, maybe I will look back into this heliocentric model that was invented by someone who just looked at the stars in the 1500s. So I set up my camera and some distant lights, and I got this idea from a genius at another channel. His name was Chris Van Matter. And I'd seen an experiment where he had done this on a small scale and produced some shocking results. And so I set up a camera, did my own experiment, and sure enough, the light trails that I was seeing looked very similar until I traced one of the lights that was about half a mile away and drug it down to a light that was probably 25 feet away from my camera. Not even close to the scale that Cody was using. It would have been much closer if that was the sun. It would have been a couple feet away. But I was trying to be biased to the globe. And the light trail was a completely different size. And you could imagine the difference you would be seeing if that distant light was 120 miles away. If we could cut through that much atmosphere, you would see a dramatic difference. And our stars and what we're seeing up above us would look totally different. This is something you can do yourself. Do not believe me. Do not trust me. I could be lying to you. But I hope you're starting to see that we don't need a whole lot of crazy theories to prove the truth. We don't need an Albert Einstein figure who they have put in place to create such theories. Up is up, down is down, straight and level is straight and level. There are many more proofs out there. You just have to look up, see for yourself, look at the stars, look at the sun, make sure you're using eye protection. But figure this stuff out. It's really awesome. The truth and the fact that they have been able to pull one over on us for so long is quite impressive. But go ahead, suck it up, admit that you were fooled, no big deal, swallow your pride, and do some investigation. The truth.
We all breathe the same air. Toyota.
Sorry about that, guys.
Sound crazy. But once you find out the truth, the lies that you believe sound a whole lot crazier. I encourage you guys to share this before it's deleted again. Download it, mirror it, upload it, whatever you want to do. It's free for anyone that wants to use it. I love you guys. The Father loves you way more than I do and sacrificed a lot more for you than I ever will. I pray and ask that you get to know Him and understand who you really are, and that it's okay to lose the things of this world to gain something that you cannot lose, that you do not deserve. And I ask that it sets you free for the Father's glory. Yahuwah Elohim, the one true Father who made this earth, who made the heavens, and He loves you. And I thank Him for sending me here to tell you this, and so that you understand exactly who you are and who He is. Right?
Another great video there, and this is the Founded Earth Brothers. Go to their website, go to their YouTube channel, subscribe. I know that there's a strong religious connotation with this, but actually, to be honest with you guys, I mean, I'm a practicing Buddhist. I have been for the last 15 years. But I think that if the devil was running amok in this realm and he wants us to fool us all, which we are being fooled, then that would, if we take away that, then there has to be a creator to this realm. There has to be. So, you know, whether you believe in God or not, it doesn't really matter. But the truth is the truth at the end of the day. So anyway, moving on. Now back to Crow 777. Again, fantastic video maker. Go to his channel, have a look at his back catalogue. There's some really great stuff. The reason I played that video first is because I want to go into the likelihood that space is actually a liquid medium. And Robert Bassano and Crow 777 have done a couple of good videos that show evidence to support this. So we'll look at this video here by Crow 777. It's not a long video. It's short and succinct, but it definitely gets to the point. So here we go.
All All right, welcome to the Crow Discovery Project. I don't know, about a year or maybe more ago, when I announced finally that that I did not view the moon as a rock in space, caused a lot of uproar. And I'm going to do a similar thing here today, having spent years now looking at the idea that I think is probably pretty likely. But first, the individual who bought crow777.com, the kind of fraudulent guy here who's running all this on a domain that he claims is for sale, I ran clips telling people to leave him alone a while ago because people were barraging him. You know, I almost regret making that clip now, and here's why. So not only is he, squatting on my URL and trying to make money off work that he didn't do, now he's displaying the Masonic emblems, which kind of shows so many people spend so much time showing how kind of devious and underhanded the Masonic organizations are. So here's this guy, you know, basically putting the colors front and center. Anyhow, moving on. The first signs of spring are here, which means I'll be able to shoot shortly. And it's interesting here because with spring, we're seeing just a lot of life cycle happening. And with the life cycle, while it's a bit sad, I walked down to the beach today and found this. I think it's a raptor of some kind. I'm not sure yet. But this picture really encapsulated it. This is the first flowers that we saw come through the snow, and the cardinal that represents winter because he's only here in the winter had passed away. And while it's a bit sad, it is such an emblematic image. But anyhow, let's get on to the announcement. So I have spent years now looking at the lunar wave footage, looking at space, realizing that nobody is going to the moon. Nobody is going above what we call low Earth orbit. So I'm here to tell you that I have come to the point of looking at the encoded memes, movies, and everything else, and I believe space is very likely liquid or water. Now, many people point this out that read the Bible and other religious traditions, and I would point out to people who do not claim a religious tradition that this text is in fact very old in all these Bibles and other religious texts, and they do in fact make claims that the firmament separates water from water. That's the Christian version. There are many other versions that echo this sentiment. If we're to take the text at just face value and look at it, why is it telling us this? Well, with years of study in my back pocket now and many thousands of hours of telescope time, I've come to the conclusion that no rockets, no machines, no people go above what we call low Earth orbit. There seems to be a hard, fast boundary there, which is echoed in the language of the firmament. And to top it off, we are beginning to question the distance that the moon is from us. We are questioning the distance that the sun is from us. And then we have the all-important 2012 lunar wave footage, which I have said on many occasions, in fact, looks a bit like water. So I comfortably make the statement today that I think it is quite likely that space is liquid. How we can prove this, I'm not really sure, but I do know that continued observation is a step in the direction of trying to prove what in fact space is. For a lot of people, that's going to be a bridge too far, a statement that's just outlandish, but I would remind people that the only way that we learn new things is from individual thought and people who do not buy the party line and go out and look for themselves, which is what I have tried to do here. If I'm wrong in 100 years, nothing I've said or filmed will have mattered. If I'm correct or even close to correct, then hopefully I'll further what we know. In my view, everything we know about what we call space has been lied about. And so with that, I give you space, likely water in my view. Cheers.
Fantastic video there by Crow777. The lunar wave video he did about 7 or 8 years ago. Like I say, go to his YouTube channel, have a look at his back catalogue. He's got some amazing stuff on there. Okay, so moving on to Robert Bassano. Now, Robert Bassano, Flat Earth Reflections, like I said last week, go to his channel, subscribe, go and have a look at his back catalogue. Let's have a listen to what this man has to say.
I wanted to do this video for you guys. It's sort of a comparative analysis. The 2 videos I'm going to show you. One is of that supposed space footage of a tether that was deployed from the space shuttle in space. Don't know what the altitude was, but I'm going to show you the video. And then the next video I'm going to show you is a comparison of an experiment done in a laboratory setting at the University of Maryland that involves superfluid helium, okay, and a laser sheet, light, and particles. And then I want you to decide for yourself if you think that the videos you've been seeing of space and the black and white video footage and other type of photography you've been seeing in space of anomalies actually could be a controlled laboratory experiment using superfluid helium-4 at close to absolute 0 degrees Kelvin. Okay, so let's check this out. So what you're looking at here, this is supposed to be one of the modules from the ISS.
Other environmentally interesting targets of opportunity during the day passes. Typically when the orbiter is on the dark side of the Earth, as it is now, at least for the next 5 to 6 minutes, the low light level...
Just to quickly interrupt here, if you're looking at this screen and turn your head to the left, so you're looking at it side on, you're actually looking at the whatever's flying going this way here, okay? They're flying across that way and the light's coming out this way. If you turn your head right to the side, so it's leaning on your left shoulder, you're actually seeing a flat Earth. And whatever is swimming in this liquid helium format is swimming sideways to it. So it's like going across the plane. And that's how they fool you. They want you to think that this is like the curve of the Earth. And it ain't, because they've turned it by 90 degrees. So if you put your head to one side and have a look at it with your head leaning on your left shoulder, you'll see it's a flat plane. And whatever it is flying across the sky.
Black and white cameras are much better at observing the Earth's surface and the star clusters as the orbiter passes high overhead. When the orbiter moves within a daylight pass, the color cameras in the payload bay are used to get more interesting sights on the day side of the Earth.
I have no idea what that flickering back and forth light is. Why the light is flashing the way it is. They're supposed to be in space.
Control Houston, we are using the payload bay cameras right now.
This is what I want you to see.
Glimpse of the Russian space station Mir as it performs an on-orbit burn. Though it will be difficult to pick.
Okay. Now when you look at this is supposed to be from a camera, infrared or night vision being used, infrared, thermal being used in space on the dark side, okay? This is from an STS mission. So you see all these particles, these things in the atmosphere, supposedly in space.
Mir out from the stars as they pass behind us. The payload bay cameras are positioned such that they're looking straight back behind the orbiter, where the Mir is flying at about 850 nautical miles behind us.
Okay. They're saying the Mir is flying 850 nautical miles behind them. We know that's bullshit. The Mir was never at 850 nautical miles. ISS is supposed to be at 245 miles. You know, whether it's miles or nautical miles, 850 nautical miles is way too fucking far for where the ISS and Mir should have been, right? Well, let me show you something else here that's interesting. That's space. Here goes a controlled laboratory setting. So as you can see, people, that's the same exact thing you see in space, superfluid helium at close to absolute 0 degrees Kelvin. And they're shooting these lasers and particles inside this liquid helium fluid at almost absolute 0 degrees Kelvin. So let's go back to the space video. Hang on. Here's the space video.
Not Johnny from here, sorry. I hope it was a good one though for our friends.
You see a difference?
Thank you, sir. We could not see it here either. We'll wait 2 or 3 more minutes till sunrise, and then at that time give you a go for KU Stowe.
I mean, really, can you see a difference?
We're at a mission elapsed time of 7 days, 13 hours, and 17 minutes.
This is the
Mission
laboratory.
Control, Houston.
Look at all those stars, people. That's the laboratory video. That's not space. Here's space video.
The Mir space station is now visible on the far left-hand side of the screen.
Here's the laboratory video.
About an inch from the bottom of this particular picture.
Here's the space video. Here's the laboratory video.
Okay, the Mir space station
Fluid
is
dynamics,
a
people.
small flashing light in the center, about an inch
Fluid
from
dynamics.
the left-hand side of the screen. It's slowly
Space.
Hell on the camera.
Laboratory.
it is slowly moving closer to the
Superfluid
left-hand side
helium.
and is has
You've
very
just
much
seen
flashes
quantum
to
fluids
it.
in action. There you go.
We think in the
Space.
middle of the screen, way to the left-hand side.
This is space, people.
We think you can see.
That's
a
what space
flashing
is.
light just a little
Superfluid
bit to the left
helium
of the center of the screen.
at
Very
close to
faint.
absolute 0 degrees Kelvin. A fluid. That's space.
Yeah,
They're
we did see
using
something flashing visually, so we're not
lasers.
sure that might be,
They're using chemtrails to reflect the sun's light back up into the sky to create these particle
This is Mission
light
Control, Houston.
type
Once again,
environment
we
for the
board
celestial
disabled to
stars.
spot the
You name
Mir
it.
spacecraft as it flies about at 850
There you go,
nautical
people. You
miles
saw it for
behind the sky.
yourselves. There it is. This is supposed to be space. What I showed you was in a laboratory in a control setting. That was the other video. Superfluid helium.
Okay, so that was that. So if that's not proof enough for you that space is a liquid medium, then nothing will be. So what I'm going to go on to now is an actual video from NASA of STS-75 when they put a tether out into space. Let's have a look at this.
Okay, it's in the bogan arm now, and I'm trying to track with the arm sort of semi-rigid.
Pretty good job, Jeff.
And this is at full zoom.
Yes, we can see the suggestion of the tether on the right side. Unless that's just a reflection on the window pane.
Yeah, I could definitely see the tether in the viewfinder. Unfortunately, it was at a low angle through the window, and so there's a lot of distortion in the image.
Copy.
We have acquisition out the front window. I'm going to go and take some more pictures of that.
Roger.
Okay, here's the last little bit I got through the front window. It's not very good. It was very low, and the window's pretty dirty. And
Here we go. Here's the tether now. Now look at this. Is that not very, very similar to what you've just seen in the previous video by Robert Pisano? Now, if you're looking in the bottom of a pond, you see tadpoles and all sorts of little things flying around. What is all this? Why aren't they talking about what all this stuff moving around here is? Now, this tether, I think, was about, I don't know, a mile behind it. Look at all these pulsating. I'm going to slow it down, actually, because and take it to half speed. Look at this. What is this? These. So this tether has attracted whatever's swimming around in this liquid helium. I thought space was supposed to be a 10 to the minus 17 tall vacuum, guys. Well, it looks like these living things in here. Look at this pulsating. Look at this one here. What is this? It's like the bottom of a pond. It's like looking at tadpoles or, you know, little fish or whatever. I thought nothing exists in a vacuum. Well, what's this then? Scotch mist? This is actual footage from the space shuttle. Why aren't they talking about this? We've been lied to, guys. Lied to on a massive, massive scale. And we've been lied to about everything. Everything is a lie. Look at this. How can you look at this and not think to yourself, we've been lied to? I mean, what would NASA say that all these things swimming about are then? What, space debris? Really? And why is it they always do their videos in crapo vision? Why is that? NASA stands for Never a Straight Answer. Let's just move the video on a little bit here, see what we've got. Here we go. CGI nonsense. Unless the space shuttle is up there and this is just going over the flat plane. But it certainly ain't curved, I can tell you that. Let's just move the video on. See if there's anything more interesting we can show. No, I don't think there's anything worth more showing you there, guys. So, I did this. This is the video that I was going to show you at the beginning, but for some reason I missed it. So let's go to this. I'm just going to check it now and make sure that it is the one. Yeah. So let's have a listen to this. This is eyewitnesses that seen rockets not go into space. Let's have a listen to this.
All right, welcome to the Crow Discovery Project. I have quite a little clip here. You know, I think this bears mentioning. I am seeing so much growth and so many more people catching on to the kind of nonsense that so many of us spend so much time pointing out on these YouTube channels and podcasts, trying to clue the population in to just the overwhelming fraud that has been afoot for many decades. One of the things that I have talked about is fake rocket launches. And so many people come and they have a problem with the fact that I'm saying that rocket launches don't go to space. You know, I've said that there seems to be some kind of a hard, fast boundary between what we call space and our atmosphere. I have said it is a closed system. I have said even that it is likely space may be water, and I'm not alone in this. Brian Mullen and some others have done work that are leaning towards the same possibility. But this is a very exciting day for me because we have an eyewitness to 2 fraudulent rocket launches. And the second one, which occurred yesterday, it is August 19, 2016. So yesterday on the full moon or near full moon, there was a rocket launch and this individual filmed it. And while the film, what she visually captures is not as compelling as the audio track. The audio track is so compelling to me. And again, there are so many people waking up to the just kind of nonsense that has been brushed under the rug for so long. I would say less than a year ago, I don't remember exactly when, I did a clip pointing out that there were all these witnesses down in Florida who thought they had something exploding in the air over their houses when in fact it was a rocket launch. And the news was showing this big, beautiful rocket launch, but the people on the ground saw something wholly different. Well, here we have it. This individual 1 month ago on the full moon witnessed a rocket launch and realized that these rockets are not going to space. They're going out over the ocean. And then had the presence of mind to be prepared on this full moon when the next rocket launch occurred to get out there with her husband as a witness and film to the best of her ability the rocket launch. But what is very telling is that the audio track, and I will run that after I speak with Jess on the phone here. But what's really, really exciting is Jess lives where she can see the rocket launches, and she is no longer fooled and more than prepared to film what she can see and stand up and speak truth to power. So let's jump in. All right, welcome to Crow 777. I was going to say the podcast. This is actually the Discovery Project. This is going to run on YouTube. I was contacted by a follower who witnessed some SpaceX rocket launches down in Florida. And having spoke with this individual, they sent me video, which I will run after this little talk I have with her. As I've been saying for a long time, NASA never sent rockets to space, and now SpaceX is involved in the same lie. But anyhow, let's get an eyewitness who actually shot video of one of the SpaceX fake launches. This is Jess. Welcome, Jess.
Hi, Crow. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. So I'm guessing, how long have you followed my work? Do you follow me on YouTube or do you follow the podcast?
I follow you on both, and I'd say the past year. I've been following him.
Okay, cool. So it was pretty intriguing when you emailed me, because I've always wondered how long it would be before eyewitnesses start to step forward. You know, I would say less than a year ago, there was a launch down in Florida where on the news they showed a rocket leaving, as they always show on the news, but people in the area saw the rocket go over their neighborhood and thought something was blowing up over their neighborhood, and this was not covered on the news at all. It was just another fake rocket launch. But let's jump right in. You, about a month ago on the full moon, if I'm getting this correct, you can correct anything I get wrong, about a month ago on a full moon, you witnessed a SpaceX launch and realized that it was not going to space. And so last night, which was a full moon, or very close to a full moon, you knew there was going to be another launch, so you were all over it with your camera. So let's talk about what you saw at the first SpaceX launch roughly a month ago. And I should say it's August 19, 2016 right now. So a month prior, around July 19th, or whenever the full moon was last month, do you know what the supposed mission was of the rocket launch you saw back in July?
Okay, so on July 18th, which was a full moon, I was sitting outside. I didn't even know that there was a launch scheduled for that I guess late evening, early morning the following day. But I'm sitting outside and I see it was quiet, didn't hear anything. And above my house, I see like this big light just burst out of nowhere, and something that looked like was coming out of it and towards my house. I mean, really close. So I kept an eye on it. All of a sudden, this thing makes a really hard right, and then I can hear what would sound like a rocket, really low, parallel to the ground, going over the houses towards the ocean. Now, I live literally about a mile and a half away from the beach, not far at all.
And how far from Canaveral were there? I assume the launches are happening in Canaveral. How far from Canaveral are you?
I'm about 2 hours north. I'm just south of Jacksonville.
Okay, so go ahead.
So I called my friend, and I what was it, 1 in the morning, 12:30, 1 in the morning, to let her know what I just witnessed. And she was like, well, let me tell you what happened here. We heard 3 sonic booms, but it's because SpaceX just launched a rocket. And actually, it's SpaceX, the Falcon 9. They were bringing a payload to ISS. This was the first one.
Okay, so that's the first one you witnessed. SpaceX claims they were bringing a payload up to the International Space Station, and yet you witnessed it coming parallel to your house, which is 2 hours north of the launch site. Then you witnessed the rocket do a hard right, a controlled turn, and go out over the ocean.
And that's exactly what it looked like, a controlled turn. I just couldn't make sense of it. I just really couldn't. So, you know, it stuck to my head, and I knew that yesterday was going to be another full moon. So I said, you know, wouldn't it be funny if I see this thing again on a full moon? News comes on, and I don't watch much television, but I just happened to catch a clip of the news saying that the Delta IV, which is a ULA rocket, it's the United Launch Alliance, it's a military, it's military owned, I guess. They last night were going to send up 2 threat detecting satellites. So I said, okay, if what I saw the last time is what I think it was, then I should see it tonight, and this time I'll be a little more prepared. Sure enough, I go, I guess I face east, facing east, so that's where the direction this thing came from both times. And sure enough, you see this, it was a little further back this time. It wasn't nearly as close as I saw it the first time. But sure enough, this thing was coming towards my house, which is north of where Cape Canaveral, not going up, coming towards my house.
So parallel to the ground.
Yes.
And how far off the ground would you estimate? Do you have any idea?
This time it was a little higher. I want to say maybe about 1,500 feet.
The first one you saw, you guessed, was roughly 1,000 feet?
Yeah, maybe anywhere from 700 to 1,000 feet. It was really low. When I was surprised.
Okay, so on last night's, the one, actually I'm going to show the video that you shot on the one you're describing now. So keep going. Last night, you know the launch is coming. You see it in the sky, parallel to the ground, coming towards your house.
Right. As a matter of fact, I had my because I recorded it on my cell phone. I had my cell phone in one hand and I had my laptop playing the live feed from Cape Canaveral because of the time of night, they don't air it on television here. You had to go.
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it forward, guys. I'm trying to keep the videos to under an hour if I can. So I'm going to bring it forward to the point where the lady's actual video has been shown. Here we go. Eyewitness video.
Sean, watch, it's coming. Look, I'm telling you, that shit doesn't go anywhere. That thing doesn't go anywhere. Look at it. Hurry up, come here. Look, come over here, you can see it, because I can see it. Look at the rocket. Look at it. Look at where it's going. Please, look at it. Look, that shit doesn't go anywhere. They just bring it all the way up here. Do you see it? Holy fuck. I told you. This is what happened full moon last launch of the SpaceX. I saw this come right over the house, and then watch. It's going to make a hard right. I got to go to the front and capture this. Look, do you see it? It's coming towards us. They guide this thing. I got to pause it.
All right, well, there it is. Such compelling video. And I want to say thank you so much, Jess. And thank you for having the guts to kind of stand up and speak the truth about what you witnessed. I have said for a long time that these rockets are simply being shot up in the air, arcing out over the ocean and splashing down. But Jess is witnessing that they are actually being steered and making a hard right turn from her perspective, and then going out over the ocean. You know what you don't see when you dig in to whether you think rocket launches are real? What you don't see is nearly as telling as what you do see. We have zero HD footage or any footage of a ground-based observer filming a rocket going all the way to space, or a rocket coming back in and doing the supposed burn we are told happens. And people like me who have even a moderate telescope would be more than enough to do this. A good telephoto lens would be enough to do this. And the fact that this footage does not exist is why I made a law for our age. Anything that can be filmed in high definition will be filmed in high definition. It's that simple. So here we have it, man. People are paying attention to podcasts, and people that follow me or others on YouTube with an open mind, searching for truth, are now going out and witnessing some of the things we've been talking about. It's going to be an exciting ride from here. For my money, I am seeing, you know what? I ran that kind of terrible, nobody died, nobody got hurt music clip the other day, and I ran it as a test. The first time I ran it, it was Haterville galore. When I ran it the other day, what a shift in the people who came. Not a hater in sight for the first while, then a few trickled in. People are catching on. These are exciting times. Pull together, man. We can out so much of this. We can change the world if we simply put our minds to it. So there it is. Rockets don't go to space, and they never have. Cheers.
Well, there you go, guys. What can I say? You know, like George Carlin said, you know, it's a big club and we ain't in it. We're not in it at all. All they're doing is pulling the wool right over our eyes. And it also made me think about where they do the rocket launches, the Bermuda Triangle and the history of the Bermuda Triangle, of ships going missing and planes going missing, and how that area is actually cordoned off to the public because he said there's some kind of anomaly out there that they don't know what it is, and planes and people are going missing and stuff like that, so people aren't allowed to go in there. Well, that just also happens to be the area where these rockets are falling into. So you don't have people, you know, in boats having a bit of a jolly on the holidays and coming across rocket parts and, you know, astronauts being waited to be picked up or whatever. That's why the Bermuda Triangle, and that's why they don't let you in, because that's the myth that they've put around this place. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this week's video. I certainly did. And I'll see you all next week, and I'll cobble something together for then. So take care, guys, and thanks very much for watching.